Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. In today's lesson, I'm going to walk you through the parts of the test and what's going to happen in each part, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the important things that you need to remember. As I mentioned a couple of times before, and I will during the course, IELTS is a very highly skill-based test. So understanding the test, the format, the questions, and each part, as many details as possible, is key to your success in the preparation. So make sure that you check out these sessions very carefully. If needed, watch it again and make sure that you're fully aware of everything. And when you're approaching the test, the questions, and the practice test, you are ready. IELTS comes in many modules and formats. We'll talk about that later. And then I will help you decide which module or which format or which setting is best for you, and how well you can prepare for that. But let's talk about the test format a little bit and find out what's in the test and what's being tested really. So the test starts with the listening section, as you see on the screen. The listening, reading, writing section, these are all taken in one setting. So that means you start, for example, let's say at 9 a.m. and then you finish at around 11:30, 11:45. So it takes you about 2.5 hours to take this setting of the test. There are no breaks. So remember that you cannot take any breaks. There are some cases that you may need to, for example, use the bathroom or things like that. We will talk about it on a session, on a special session about preparing for the exam day. So back to the test, we have the listening. The listening will take around 30 sessions. You will be given headphones. There are a few centers in some countries that may use speakers, but that's very rare. They usually give you headphones and you need to practice with headphones. But again, if you want to make sure that they use headphones or not, you can contact the center that you are going to take the test there. I taught to some students, especially in Russia and in a few countries, that they told me that there was a center that had speakers and not headphones. Again, far from the usual standards, but it may happen, so that is something to check with your center. But we'll take headphones as the basic standard, so please do all of your preparations with headphones. Do not use speakers when you're preparing for the listening. 30 minutes, and then we quickly jump to the reading section. There are no, in the reading section, between the listening and reading, there's no break. So when the listening is done, we will quickly start the reading test. The reading test takes 1 hour, 60 minutes. You will be given 3 passages and 40 questions, and you have to answer as many questions as possible. If you're taking it on a computer, you type your answer, you will choose. If you're taking it on the paper, you will be given an extra answer sheet to complete, do's and don'ts of which we will discuss later. In the reading section, time usually is of essence, so keep that in mind. Right after reading, we have writing. Again, 1 hour. You have to do 2 pieces of writing, and depending on the fact that you are academic or general training, the first part of the writing will be different. Again, in writing section, time is really important. When the writing is done, we'll have some time until your speaking test. Again, this depends on the center. Some centers will have their speaking on the same day. But there are a few centers, very crowded centers, that they may require you to take the speaking test on a different day. This depends on a couple of factors, like the number of candidates and how busy they are during that time of the year, or the availability of their examiners. So this is again something to check with your centers. Some centers, they also give you the chance to choose your speaking date, which is also interesting, but all of this depends on your center. Let's take a look at each part with more details. So in the listening section, we have 4 recordings that you will listen to 4 recordings in each part. You will hear people talking about different subjects. Sometimes it's just one person talking, sometimes it's a discussion or a conversation. I will explain all of this in our listening session. The thing about IELTS is that you will only hear the recording once, so that's a very big thing to remember when you are preparing, and I will talk about this a lot during our listening sessions. Remember, you will hear a wide range of accents. So a lot of people often ask me, is it in British English or American English or Australian? Despite the fact that IELTS is a co-product of the British Council and IDP Australia, it is a standard test. So you will hear a wide range of accents, standard accents of English, as this is an international test. So you need to prepare when you're practicing. You need to be ready for all accents. Next up is reading. Reading is one of those skills that some of us struggle a lot, especially with the time management. So if I give you 2 hours, 3 hours, or even 90 minutes, a lot of you will perform much better. But the problem is that time is of essence. Time is limited here. We have only 60 minutes, 3 passages, and 40 questions. And how we manage our time, how we approach each part of the question is very important. Time management is a very important skill, and we'll talk about it later. But for starters, I need to tell you that for the reading, remember, the IELTS is a very standard test. So you have 60 minutes, 3 passages. That naturally means you have about 20 minutes for each part. So that's a nice framework to build your preparation on it. You will get different types of questions, whether you're doing a first part, second part, or a third part. And the reading that academic students and general training students take are different. So for academic students, they use text from academic sources. Usually they're not very technical, so don't worry about it being too technical or you having to know a lot of jargon or technical words. But imagine yourself as a undergraduate student, somebody who's doing a bachelor's degree, first year, second year, and then the nature of your course books in that period of time, how do they look like? They're not general, they're not technical, so somewhere in between. But something to remember is that they are from academic sources. So if you're preparing for an IELTS academic training, you need to become familiar with these texts as well, and you need to read more of them. General students, they have kind of an easier job because the texts are more manageable, sometimes shorter. The passages are shorter, and they're from general sources like magazines, brochures, catalogs, and reading sources that we come across every day. Let's get to the next part of the test, which is my favorite, but not a lot of people's favorite, because this is the part of the test that almost everybody scores lower than the other skills. So no matter what score you get in IELTS, most probably your writing will be the lowest. So even if you get a 9 in the other 3 sections, you may get a 7.5 or 8 in writing. And this is the part that a lot of people are struggling with. There are a lot of natural reasons why people underperform. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cliches and templates out there, and especially for advanced students like you want to get anything above 7.5 in writing. You need to take this seriously. You need to stay away from templates or cliches or, I don't know, copy pasting stuff, generic writing. Forget about that. You have to write organically and develop solid piece of writing. And we'll talk about that. In the first part, if you're taking a general training, you will have to write a letter, either formal or informal. Great opportunity for you to improve your score. But if you're taking the academic, your job is a little bit more difficult, where you have to write a report. And as you see the visuals on my screen, usually you will be given one of these charts or diagrams, or a combination of 2 of them, and then you have to write your report. All of these require specific skills and approaches that we will discuss on a separate session, but more on those later. In the first part of the IELTS exam, you will be given, by a standard, around 20 minutes to write your task. The minimum number of words is 150, but you should remember that if you want to get a higher score, you have to write beyond this. And I usually recommend my advanced students to write something above 190 words. I'm not going to give you a max because that depends on how fast you are as a writer. There is actually no max when it comes to IELTS, but remember, time is limited. So we have only 20 minutes. We need to plan, write, check, and writing 250, 260 words may look good, but may take a lot of your valuable time, the time that you could spend on a good quality piece of writing. So write less, but work more on the quality. So anything between 200, 210, I think would be the sweet spot for somebody who wants to get 7.5 or higher, let's say. The bigger chunk of your writing will be your essay. That's where there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of controversy, and we're gonna cover all of these in our course. This will be one of the features of this course that makes this course a little bit different. I have a different approach to writing, and because I believe that these common guidelines and cliches and templates that we have do not work, and this is why a lot of people keep scoring very low when it comes to writing. And I'm going to give you a completely different approach to this part of the test. But that aside, we have about 40 minutes that we have to plan, write, and check an essay. This is the same for both academic and general training. So again, 250 is the minimum. As an advanced student, you have to focus on a lot higher than that. So I recommend something between 270 to 300, 320 as the sweet spot for essays. Again, we do not want to overwrite because quality is more important than the quantity or the number of words. And finally, we have the speaking, the most interesting part of the test, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to perform very well. Something about the speaking is that advanced students have this problem that they take this part a little bit for granted, and they think because they can communicate in English very well, they are able to score well as well, so they do not take this part very seriously. And the result is that they usually do not get the score that they truly deserve. So you see somebody who's speaking very close to a native speaker, perfect accent and everything, but they get a 6.5 or 7 for speaking, which is weird. And that's because during the test, examiner doesn't know you. Examiner only has 15 minutes to test you. So you have to show a lot of your abilities and a lot of features of language during that 15-minute period to make sure that you impress the examiner and show the examiner all that you have so that he or she can check the boxes and then make sure that you can get a better score. Speaking is also subject to not being fully prepared on that day. So if you don't practice English, you and I are not native speakers. So we need to speak and practice on a daily basis to keep sharp. So make sure that you keep practicing on a regular basis. There are 3 parts in speaking. First part is usually checking your ID, getting to know you, asking you some general information. Your answers should be the same, natural, personal, and everything is about you. So relax into it, focus on fluency and complete answers. Then the second part, they give you a card. In this section, you have to read the information on a card and prepare a response to that. You will have 1 minute to prepare and then up to 2 minutes to talk about what's on the card. There are a couple of do's and don'ts about this section that we will talk about later. Part 3 will be kind of a segue from part 2 in terms of the topic. So for example, if you talk about education in part 2, the topic of part 3 will also be on the same way, but part 3 is a discussion. it's kind of more important part of the test, that you can really impress the examiner and show him or her what you've got. So it's a discussion, it's a two-way discussion. The examiner will react to your answers. You should be able to support your answers very well and make it like a discussion, like a two-way discussion, talking about usually general issues in your community, in your country, around the world. And you need to discuss, agree, disagree, and then show the examiner what is your view regarding that topic and engage in that discussion. I'm not going to get into the details now because we will talk about these later. So just to give you a rough idea, this is going to take around 15 minutes. By standard, they say it's 11 to 14 minutes, but usually examiners, they will keep this for a bit longer, and then they want to make sure that they get everything from you so that they can have their checklist fair and square. Okay, so this was an overview of the IELTS test format. Remember, this is the same in all modules. So whether you're taking it on computer, on paper, it's the same, or whether you're taking it online, same format, same flow of tests. The content of some of the parts, like writing part 1, the reading passages, will be different between general training and academic training. And it's important for you to fully know this and be on top of this when you are doing practices. Let me know if you have any questions about the test format. In the following sessions, where we will go through each and every part of the test one by one, and then we will cover all of the tips and tricks that are needed and things that you need to avoid and ways to practice and improve your results. So thank you for watching this session. I'll see you on the next one.